And welcome back to Creative Thinkers. Again, my name is Miguel Valenzuela. I'm happy you guys are here to see our interview with Tino Ortega. So I'm going to welcome you, Tino. Thank you for being here. And you are owner of the Galeria Lincoln here in El Paso, Texas, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So we always start off by getting to know the individual. Of course, we're here at Creative Thinkers and talking creatively, but we want to know how you grew up, what kinds of influences you had as a child. Are you from El Paso originally?
Yes, so actually I grew up in the Lower Valley, right there off Zaragoza and Roseway.
Okay.
And, you know, being in that area as a kid, it definitely inspired me, seeing the big Virgen de Guadalupe mural.
Oh, yes,
right
I
there
know where that's at, actually.
in front of the Isleta Mission.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I remember seeing that as a kid, because I went to elementary school, like, right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember seeing it and being really inspired and just thinking, like, wow, why isn't there more of this as a kid? Because when you're a kid, you know how, like, everything's so much bigger. And it played a really big impact in me wanting to pursue the arts. And luckily, I had, you know, supportive family members that would, like, take me to the library and we'd check out books and on things that I wanted to learn to, like, draw on things.
And by these people kind of influence you, saying, hey, you know what, let's go and do that. How did that help you in being and becoming who you are today?
It helped a lot because we didn't have a lot of expendable income growing up. We lived in a 3-bedroom house with like 9 people.
Wow.
Up until like I was like 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so just finding resources to paint on was really difficult. So I, like, anytime I'd find, you know, scratch paper, I'd take full advantage of it, or just situations like that. But having that supportive group of family members really made an impact, because I don't think I would have pursued it as much.
And having pursued it now, do you think that you were able to help individuals understand this whole concept of creativity?
I just try to, you know, just like help out everybody in any way I can, because, you know, some people get motivated differently, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't motivate everybody, but
That's
just
true.
showing people that, you know, like little steps that you can do just to get involved and get active in the arts. Someone came up to me not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, how did you get into the murals? Like, how do you start? And I was like, you know, just put yourself out there. I remember I had all these extra spray cans, and I was like, here, take them.
Really?
Yeah, because this was like
Nice.
in Rowley, North Carolina, so I couldn't take them with me. So I was like, what am I going to do with them? I'm like, here, if you want to start, here's some cans, here's some tips. Just, you know, go have fun. That's what it's about.
Do you think that there's a lot of people that are limited in many ways that never get the opportunity to do these things? And if so, how do you feel what you did can help people?
Yeah, I think definitely sometimes we are limited on the resources we have, and then sometimes we're limited on the amount of availability that we put ourselves onto our own projects.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I quit my job, my career of 14 years
Right.
in aviation, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't have that much time that I want to dedicate to my arts, like to my art projects.
Because of your career.
Yeah, so I was working, like, you know, my 9 to 5, trying to be a single dad, and then trying to be a gallery owner and a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
and then still trying to do murals on the side. Like, you know, it was like one of them has to go.
Yeah. And how did you choose?
You know, it was a no-brainer. Like, after 14 years of doing something, I just felt out of love with it. I didn't have that love that I had, like, with the arts. And so to me, it's like, you know, if I'm gonna make this leap, I'm gonna make it now, and I gotta, like, put myself out there and, you know, just take that risk and make that leap of faith.
I think everybody has to do that at some point. But one of the things that I found through this show and just by talking to people is that people quite often lack that, I guess, initial creative thought process to be able to do those things. Like they might think, you know, I want to do murals or whatever they want to do, just like you. But, you know, I'll do it when the day comes, and then they just keep leaving it off and off and off. Is it very important for you just to take that leap?
Yeah, a little bit. It's really important, just because, you know, if you don't take that leap, it's never going to happen. You're just going to keep putting it off, and it just eventually the amount of work you want to create just kind of piles up, and you gotta kind of pick and choose. And it's unfortunate like that it has to be like that. Like I have all these ideas that I want to do, but you know, it's always about setting priorities of what is most important, what's going to have the most impact, and things like that.
Yeah, do you take into consideration the viewer as well when you create your works? Because one of the things that I found really compelling about your work is just the level of realism within the piece itself. And what I mean by realism is the reality of what we're both living and what they look like. So I don't know if a lot of people know, for the viewers out there, you are the individual out there that is creating these kind of blow-up balloon types of murals. How did you get from looking at the Virgen de Guadalupe as a child all the way to doing these murals up on walls? That's a long process, I think.
No, it definitely wasn't overnight, and it was just that idea of just wanting to capture photorealism. And so for me, I always liked the idea of including the bits and pieces of our culture, because I felt like in the murals and the art world, we weren't really represented in a and so much in a, like a positive light. Like I've seen like a lot of like artwork that depicted Mexicans in a negative light, and I didn't like that. And so I was like, well, what's one way I can incorporate the culture and like a little bit of history into some of my artwork. And the balloons came from the August 3rd shooting. When that happened, I remember feeling like this sense of just like helplessness. Like I felt like I couldn't do anything at the moment, but I wanted to so bad. And I remember seeing the community come out and just have that support. So right after the August 3rd shooting, I was reached out by this organization called Casita Carmelita, and at the time they were supposed to have I guess migrants come over and live in a shelter in El Paso, and they wanted the kids' room painted. And so I painted the kids' room, and unfortunately after it was painted, the borders were shut down.
Oh, no way.
And so, you know, like they weren't unable to cross at the moment, or at the time. And I remember after that, there was a lot of other muralists doing like El Paso Strong murals as well.
Right.
And so one of the first chromatic pieces that I did was actually in El Paso Strong, facing the gateway right there on Hybrid Fitness, like as you're entering downtown from the east side, like going east on I-10 into downtown is on the right-hand side, and it was this big chromatic El Paso Strong mural.
Oh, wow.
And that was typically the first chromatic piece that I did. And then right after that, there was an art auction that we had, or that was put on by Patrick Galvadon, and a lot of people were, you know, submitting pieces of artwork to go to the community foundation for the victims' families. And so I donated a piece, and it was a photorealistic drawing of the trolley.
Oh, okay.
And so that idea of photorealism always played in, and the idea of having 23 murals kind of like began at that point. And
that's the goal, 23 murals?
Yeah, so 23 murals is the goal. You know, like it's unfortunate that like I wish I had more time and more resources to tackle it, but I've had a lot of support from a lot of talented artists here in the community. So it kind of got scrapped at the beginning, and then, you know, 2019 rolled around, or like the end of 2019 was coming, and we were like starting a gallery right there in Galeria Lincoln, right there in the heart of El Paso, right there under the Spaghetti Bowl. And as we're opening, we're talking to our neighbors across the street at Old Sheepdog, Gus and Brisa. The more we got to speak to them, the more we got to know them. And they were telling us how they were directly affected, how their family members were actually, you know, victims from the shooting.
Oh, really?
And so, like, that idea of the 23 murals just came back, and it's like, you know what, like, if I'm gonna do this, it only makes sense to start here. And so with them, like, I did the I Heart EP, and it kind of ballooned and blossomed into
because I think that's iconic for our viewers. It is the one piece where it's one balloon that says I, and then heart, and then it says EP or El Paso?
Yeah, EP.
EP, and then there's some, I think some tethers or some kind of string that look like actual balloons, right?
Yeah.
And you can actually take a picture. So from there, that kind of ballooned into all the other pieces that you've done.
Yeah.
One of the things that is most exciting for me is the fact that they are balloons. It's a very childlike type of image. I think it's important for everybody to bring out their child. Do you think that that's a big part of what you're doing with these murals?
Yeah, it was definitely about having that engagement from the community and that involvement where, somebody standing in front of the mural doesn't do justice unless it brings that mural to life. And so that idea was really captivating to me, and I was inspired by other artists that were doing balloon murals or that continue to do balloon murals. And so it's just one of those ideas like, well, why don't we have that here? Why not incorporate some of the things that other people are doing and, apply them here into our culture? And, some of the things that I've done for the balloons have been like the Chuco mural, like things like that, where we're like putting a little bit of emphasis into like our name and a little bit of history of who we are as a people.
Absolutely.
And then the other one was the AI mural, which, we're incorporating some of our language.
I've seen that one, but I don't know where it's at. Where's it located?
That one's on I forgot the name of that place, but it's on Sunset and Donovan. It's called, it's the Substation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a little like a shopping center, but like of restaurants. And it's pretty much eateries. And like I think there's a tap house in there as well.
That's very cool. When you come up with these ideas, why do you bring the whole Mexican vibe and feel into them? How important is that to you?
It's really important. It's about, that idea of just being included in the arts and our culture. And, some of the cultural aspects are like just primarily synonymous with this region, like the AI. Like nobody says that anywhere else.
Exactly.
Like you go to LA or like San Antonio and you use AI and they're like, hey, you're from El Paso.
That's exactly right.
And so it's like, to me, it just made sense. Like, well, we should definitely have a mural like this, just like feel like that representation. And that's what it's mainly about, is having that representation, because it's really important. Because when you see yourself on that, like on walls, then you feel like
correct.
You feel like more included into the general population.
And I think you feel more proud, right?
Yeah.
To be who you are as an individual. It's like my culture is absolutely important, and here I see it as a work of art. When you were younger, did you ever think, wow, you know what, I'm going to get to a place where I make these murals and these images where people can really associate to them? How did you get to that point?
I don't know. Like, it just kind of happened. Like, the more you put out a body of work, the more you have like a goal of what you want to accomplish. Because you're usually, when you do artwork, you have to have a reason behind it. And I would always ask myself, why am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish here? And to me, it's always been about that representation, for sure. But, starting from a kid, I never expected that. The first time I actually saw like a potential in my, like an art career, was in elementary school, where I'd be drawing and some kids would come up to me and they'd be like, oh, like, that's a cool drawing of Spider-Man or whatever, like comic book character I'm drawing. And they'd be like, how much would you sell it to me for? And I'm like, to me, I never even thought about selling it.
You mean I could make money on this?
Yeah,
right?
I was like, like $1.50, and they'd give me $1.50, and I'm like, oh, I'm going straight to the vending machine, buying some hot Cheetos and a Coke,
And then I'm going to make myself another Spider-Man drawing, right?
Yeah, and then I remember I just kept applying it, and I remember one Valentine's Day in elementary school, like I made an effort to like draw everybody their Valentine.
Oh, really?
And so I was like, okay, like, let's see how much I can do it. And like setting myself up for projects like that just came naturally.
That's really cool, because you've actually done a lot of work here in El Paso through the art world itself. One of the things that I feel is very important for people to understand is how art affects you. How has art affected you personally?
Art's been, I tell my daughter, pretty much, I've been lucky and I've been blessed because I found my life's purpose, at such a young age. You don't really think about it when you're doing it that young, and you don't really see yourself like pursuing it your entire life. But I couldn't. live without it. I'm gonna do it till I die. You know,
Yeah.
till the wheels fall off type
Right.
thing. And it's just been really blessed because it's actually gotten me through a lot of difficult times in my life. And so having that art therapy has been, you know, you wouldn't think about it at the time, especially when you're going through difficult times. But it's definitely been very therapeutic, and it's helped me just overcome a lot of things.
How do you use that though? Like, if somebody wanted to use art as a therapy, is it just the process of drawing? Is it the ideas that come out of that? How do you use it?
I use a little bit of everything, like as far as the thought process of like, you know, like what would I like to see, like as far as representation. So like seeing like family members in murals and in pieces, it's definitely helped me because like feel a little bit more prouder of the family and the roots that I have. But for the most part, it's kind of like riding a bike, you know, like you're going down a road and you're not focused on anything else. Like you might be focused on like some like obstacles and barriers that you might have to overcome.
Issues that you've had throughout your life,
Yeah,
for example.
And so it's definitely been like a way to just like escape reality and just, you know, live in my own world. I think Bob Ross said like, if there's something you don't like about your painting, the best thing is that you can just paint over it.
Yeah.
And just start over. You know, like if there's something not going well with the art piece, you could just, you know, just start over. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the things that artists do, and that's one of the things that I teach in one of my classes. As a matter of fact, every time that I'm teaching them drawing, I always see them erasing and erasing and erasing. I say, don't erase. First, draw your other line so you know what your correction is, then erase, and that issue will be gone. And I actually talk to them a lot about kind of psychological issues and things like that, because I think it's important for them to understand that one can have some sort of therapy through art. Well, you said that you were a mechanic as far as, I guess, planes and helicopters and things like that. How did that help you become who you are today? Because I think that a lot of people feel stuck in what they're doing, but then they need that transition. How did it help you? What did you learn from being a mechanic?
It taught me to like be very organized in that artistic aspect. You know, being in an aviation, everything has to be really organized and just has to work properly. But it also teaches you to, you know, come up with like solutions to problems like on the fly. And that's a lot of things in aviation, is that, you know, like fixing a problem, but like finding alternate routes in which you can fix them. And it's definitely helped in that aspect. It's also helped in like financially providing me a platform to, you know, buy art supplies, things like that, because they're not cheap.
Yeah, they're not.
Which is really unfortunate. I wish they were a little bit more affordable, so this way everybody could like partake in the arts. But it's definitely given me an opportunity to explore the world, and just it's taken me places that I never expected to go.
Like traveling?
Yeah, like traveling.
How has that helped you? Like, I know that the places that I've been have absolutely influenced who I am as an individual. I don't think that I'd be the guy that I am today if I hadn't been to those places and seen those things. Where have you been? How important is it for people to travel? How does that affect them? How did it affect you?
It was a little bit of an eye-opener. You know, I started contracting for the military at 21, and right away they had us going to like Puerto Rico, Colombia, Panama, and then Iraq as well. And so it's just, you get to meet all these different cultures, and you have like an appreciation and for your own when you come back. You get to see like little differences, like goes like, oh wait, we have that over there, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, talking to other people and just seeing how they live and seeing our commonalities, it definitely played an inspiration to like the artwork I produce and like how I want to express, you know, our culture and the way we see ourselves.
So having said that, your gallery sits in the middle of South Central El Paso, which is right under the Spaghetti Bowl. why was it important for you to locate yourself in that area? Because it's an area that I feel is going to be coming into, or is in sort of a renaissance right now.
Yeah.
They're like building a lot of it up. They're doing the community center there, and they're going to be doing a museum, if I'm not mistaken, right? In, what is that place called?
It's actually, so the Lincoln Center is
Lincoln
actually
Center,
getting the asbestos removed. So MASI's coming in. They're the Mexican American Cultural Institute.
Nice.
And they're looking to renovate the whole structure. They have, it's a beautiful spot if you ever get the chance to go in.
Yeah, it's nice.
They have like an auditorium in there. It was used for the Parks and Rec for a number of years.
I actually took karate there when I was younger.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I know exactly what it looks like.
So there's a newer portion of the building that's not like on the historical side that I think they're going to renovate that into a 2-story building.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first floor is going to be an art gallery, and then the second floor is going to be a teaching kitchen, like / restaurant.
Wow.
And so this way, we can incorporate more of the community and get more of that engagement into that park, because I feel like it's been kind of neglected
Mm-hmm.
into what it
I agree.
could potentially be. So going to San Diego a couple years ago, I got to see some of the things that they're doing out there, and it just, you come back inspired, and it's like, whoa, like there's so much potential we could do here. Like one of the things that we're actively trying to do is like trying to get more of an awareness of how a skate park it would be beneficial there.
Right.
Especially from like a younger crowd and younger generations.
Right.
It's just a naturally canopied area, and it provides shelter from the elements in like the high summer heat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'd take my daughter there when she was younger, because at the time no other parks really had any kind of canopies over
Mm-hmm.
the playgrounds.
Yeah,
So
which I think is really interesting. It's in the center of town. It's completely covered, basically.
yeah.
The grounds are actually pretty nice, full of art, but nobody goes. Where do you think the disconnect is?
I think the disconnect is in that there's nothing to really do there. Like a couple years ago, like they had like the playground,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty much it. Like they had the murals, and you'd see people come in and do the murals. Luckily, we had Gabriel Gaitan and what's his other name? I'm drawing a blank. But
One of the other artists,
Well, they're pretty much the founders of the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee,
Mm-hmm.
and so they started pretty much bringing more of that engagement and involvement into the park by holding and like hosting events like the Cesar Chavez Day and then the Hispanic Heritage Day in September. So they were always there like before I was. So to see that engagement of the cultural aspect into it has really helped. And I think it wouldn't be as big as it is now if it wasn't for them. So, like I'm taking like a blueprint from them, like, well, how else can we have more engagement in here? And just seeing the things we can utilize to, bring more attention and into that part of the region.
I think that it's important that you as an individual push these ideas, because I feel like you're a revolutionary in the area, right? You and Gus, which is the other individual that I interviewed a little while ago. I think it's when people like you get together and have these ideas start to stimulate what's happening at the time, then more things start to happen.
Yeah.
So what's going to be happening in the future? They're going to be opening that center, and are we going to be having more festivals there? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so the festivals are definitely, I don't see them ending anytime soon. I know these people have been doing it for a number of years,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there's going to be somebody else that they're going to have to pass that torch to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that being an issue at all. But, the idea of just being able to grow exponentially and just, it definitely was inspiring seeing the Chicano Park in San Diego, and just knowing that they're actually working together with the Chicano Park in San Diego. So
with their government?
So they have like kind of like the same affiliation. They have other organizations that run the Chicano Park out there, and so they're actually in collaborative talks, and like they host events.
El Paso and San Diego.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so to see that, that contribution and that collaboration is really important, because that's all it's been about, is having that support system. So the Lincoln Park is actually known as Chicano Park 2 because of that.
Oh, really?
So that support system is really helpful, especially with neighbors such as Gus at Old Sheepdog, where they're like-minded and they want to help. We want to help push each other and just strive for like a better future, a better community, and just have that engagement. And
just keep it going, right? Keep the ball rolling. That's the most important thing, I think. What is coming up with you and your gallery in the future? Are you going to be having more exhibitions? Yeah,
so the gallery's always been about exhibiting local artists. Right now, I'm teaming up with a bunch of local artists as well, and we're going to be throwing a gala here May 14th at the War Eagles Museum. And so we'll be auctioning off pieces, and the proceeds are going to go to like communal projects and things like that. So we're trying to replace some of the murals that were torn down with the recent expansion of the highways. And so like it's going to be like a kind of a start off like for a grassroots movement to help us fund and replace these murals, because up until now these murals have been sponsored by like different organizations or like private sponsorships, and that's how they've been made in the past. And so we just want to continue that idea of just like let's see the arts flourish and create more of an interactive environment.
Yeah, because art is super important. Creativity is also very important, hence the name, right?
Yeah.
Why is creativity important for everybody?
Creativity is important for everybody because it's everywhere. Like a lot of things are inspired by the arts. Like one of the things that another event we're looking to do is, have a skate deck art auction as well, and those proceeds are going to go to, pushing a skate park in Lincoln Park, because skating, like for me, was always therapeutic as a kid, and I saw the arts that came from it. There's a famous artist that started off as a skateboarder. His name's Ed Templeton. And he's like a world-renowned artist now. Unfortunately, he doesn't skate anymore, like due to like a back injury he had.
Right.
But he still pushes the arts, and it's affected like everything from like fashion to music to like some of the content we see on like TV and things like that. It definitely affects everything.
Which is super important. So if somebody wants to go to your gallery, what is the exact address? How do they get there?
So I like to think of it like this. So it's 3915. So it's like Heart 915.
Oh, wow.
Rosa Avenue.
Very cool. So South Central El Paso, there's other things to do. There's a beautiful park around the corner. So there's going to be a lot of new environments and things going on in the near future.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, Tino, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to talk to me, because I think it's important for people to really get to know these artists and creative people here in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank everybody for joining us once again, to allow us the opportunity to come into your home and show you guys all of these very interesting individuals. So I hope you guys come back and join us next time. Again, my name is Miguel Valenzuela. Thank you.